There comes a moment in many people's lives, often quietly, without warning, when something deeply unsettling begins to happen. The things that once delighted them, the activities that used to fill them with enthusiasm and warmth, suddenly lose their flavor. Music that once stirred their soul now feels strangely distant. Food tastes muted, as though the world has turned down its colors. Even the familiar company of friends begins to feel thin, almost hollow. And the passions they once cherished, reading, walking in nature, making art, all of it becomes washed out, flat, devoid of the spark that once made life feel meaningful. Naturally, when this shift occurs, people become afraid. They assume something has gone terribly wrong. They think, I must be depressed, something inside me must be broken, maybe my brain chemistry is off. Others believe they've simply grown bitter or worn down by life, that their capacity for joy has somehow evaporated. And in this fear they ask, honestly and urgently, what happened to me? Why don't I feel anything anymore? But what if this loss of joy, this strange dullness creeping across your experience, isn't a malfunction at all? What if the state that feels like emotional death is actually a kind of birth? What if the disappearance of the old forms of joy is making space for something entirely new? Something you haven't yet recognized because you're still searching for the familiar feelings, the former excitements, the old ways of being moved. Let's look more closely. Most of what we normally call joy or pleasure is really a form of relief. It is the satisfaction of attention, the easing of a discomfort, the scratching of an itch. Hunger followed by eating, loneliness followed by attention, anxiety followed by accomplishment. The pleasure we feel depends entirely on the discomfort that came before it. Without hunger, eating is mechanical. Without loneliness, affection feels neutral. Without the itch, scratching has no joy in it. This is exactly what the Buddha meant when he said life is characterized by suffering, or more accurately, by unsatisfactoriness. Not that life is miserable, but that the ordinary cycle of desire and fulfillment, of lack and momentary satisfaction, is inherently unstable. It is built on the sense that something is missing, that you are incomplete as you are. And so we chase these brief moments when the discomfort pauses. We call that pause happiness. We call that absence of tension joy. But truly, it is only the temporary cessation of an irritation. It is like being struck on the head with a hammer, and then feeling immense relief when the hammer stops weighing and calling that relief pleasure. But few ever ask, why is the hammer striking at all? Now here's where things begin to shift. Some people, and this includes you if you resonate with this loss of joy, begin to see through the game. They start to recognize, perhaps slowly, perhaps suddenly, that all the pleasures they've been running toward are simply escapes from discomfort. And when you truly see this pattern, the old pleasures lose their power. The scratching no longer satisfies because you now know the itch was created just so you could enjoy scratching it. It is like the addict whose drug creates the very withdrawal symptoms the drug later relieves. The relief feels real, but the suffering was manufactured by the cycle itself. Once you understand this, not as an idea but as a lived truth, the spell breaks, the thrill evaporates, the cycle collapses. And this is where you find yourself. The joys you once chased don't work anymore. The distractions fail to distract. The excitements fail to excite. You've lost the ability to be carried away by the world because, on some deep level, you've stopped believing its promises. It feels like something essential has been taken from you, like you've become a ghost performing the motions of life without being touched by life. But this state is not an ending. It is a transition. It is the space between how you used to experience the world and a new way that has not yet unfolded. You are standing in the gap, and the gap, understandably, is terrifying. All the old structures have dissolved, and the new structures haven't yet revealed themselves. Let me offer you an image. Imagine living your entire life in a room lit by candles. The candlelight casts beautiful, shifting shadows on the walls, shapes that dance and flicker and entertain you. These patterns become your world. You study them, you find meaning in them, they feel rich and alive. Now imagine that one day someone opens a door and lets in a flood of daylight. At first the light is unbearable. It's sharp, it's overwhelming, the familiar shadows disappear entirely, and everything, the walls, the floor, the air, looks washed out, almost featureless. You think, something terrible has happened, all the beauty is gone. But the truth is simply that your eyes have not yet adjusted to the new light. You're not seeing less, you're seeing you're seeing too much. Once your vision adapts, you find that nothing has been lost at all. In fact, the world is richer than ever. You're no longer merely watching shadows, you're seeing the room itself. This is what happens when the old joys vanish. You're no longer entertained by the shadows, but you have not yet learned to see in the daylight. And this transitional period can last a long time. It cannot be rushed. Your inner vision must adjust at its own pace. During this time, the most common reaction is to try to revive the old joys. People fling themselves into new relationships, new hobbies, new experiences, hoping to reignite that spark. Or they look for stronger stimulation, louder music, more intense sensations, more dramatic changes, like someone whose taste buds have dulled and now seeks spicier and spicier foods just to feel something. But this doesn't work. It only deepens the emptiness. What is needed is not more stimulation, but less. What is needed is to stop running, to stop trying to fill the emptiness, and to allow things to be as they are. When you cease chasing joy, you notice something subtle. Underneath the craving for excitement, beneath the ache for stimulation, there has always been a quiet sense of enoughness. This is not joy in the old sense. It is more like a deep okayness, a soft recognition that everything is fundamentally all right exactly as it is. Not perfect, not blissful, but whole, complete. It needs nothing added to it. The old joys depended on contrast. Joy versus sorrow, excitement versus boredom, pleasure versus pain. But this okayness is not born from contrast. It is constant, whether your circumstances are pleasant or unpleasant. It is like realizing that the house you've been madly searching for your entire life is the very house you've been standing in all along. But here's the catch. This okayness sounds terribly dull to the mind. The mind wants excitement. It wants highs and peaks and fireworks. It hears all rightness and thinks, that's boring. But excitement is exhausting. Drama is exhausting. The quest for peak experiences is exhausting. You cannot live your life revving at that intensity. People have glorious highs followed by long periods of emptiness, waiting for the next high. And over time, the lows deepen and the highs require more force. This is the pattern of addiction. And most people are addicted not to substances, but to stimulation itself. They create problems just so they can solve them. They manufacture tension just for the pleasure of releasing it. They stir up emotion to feel alive. And they call this joy, but really, it is agitation. When your joy collapses, what has collapsed is your addiction to agitation. And just like any withdrawal, the beginning feels awful. You feel flat, empty, lifeless. But what you're experiencing isn't the loss of aliveness, it is the absence of noise. And the absence of noise feels like death when you've lived your whole life in a storm. I once knew a man who exemplified this. He lived at a furious pace and always traveling, always learning, always chasing sensations and ideas. He described himself as someone who squeezed every drop out of life, but one day the squeezing stopped working. Travel bored him, books meant nothing, food tasted the same, and he fell into despair, believing life had run out of meaning. But after some months, something shifted. One morning he found himself sitting in his garden in complete stillness, doing nothing at all. And in that stillness, he realized he felt perfectly content, not thrilled, not excited, just quietly, peacefully present. He understood in that moment that his entire life had been a race, and he had been running from this simple beingness. Once the running stopped, he discovered what had been waiting beneath all along, a profound ordinariness that was more nourishing than any excitement could be. This is what I am pointing toward. When nothing brings you joy anymore in the old way, life is inviting you into a deeper mode of experience. Not the roller coaster of pleasure and pain, but something steady and intimate, something spacious and complete. But you cannot force this discovery. You cannot manipulate yourself into feeling it. In fact, the very effort to get it back keeps it out of reach, just as trying to fall asleep makes you stay awake. You must allow the emptiness to be empty. You must stop insisting that life excite you. You must give up the quest for feeling. Only then does a new sensitivity emerge. You become like an empty bowl, open, receptive, free of previous contents. Not empty in a negative sense, but empty in the way that allows something new to enter. This transition is like the caterpillar dissolving into the cocoon. The caterpillar cannot return to being a happy caterpillar. Its old form is dissolving, and what remains is shapeless mush. If that mush could think, it would be terrified, and yet this dissolution is the very condition required for the butterfly to appear. You are the mush now. And this is not a mistake, it is the process. Stay with it. Do not try to run from it. Do not try to numb it or override it with artificial highs. Simply allow it. Let it be what it is, flat, colorless, quiet, empty. Because in time, not according to your schedule, but according to the deeper rhythm of your being, something shifts, not backwards into the old pattern, but forward into a new way of inhabiting life. A way that does not rely on stimulation or contrast. A way that finds sufficiency in the bare fact of existing. This is what the mystics have always pointed to. Not perpetual bliss, not ecstatic peak states, but a deep, stable okayness that persists through pleasure and pain alike. A recognition that at the core of your being you are fundamentally all right. Not because your circumstances are ideal, but because existence itself is whole. The old joy was like trying to improve a sunset by adding more colors. The new joy is realizing the sunset doesn't need improvement. This moment doesn't need improvement. You don't need improvement, but you cannot force this recognition. Any effort to achieve it only reinforces the belief that something is missing. The recognition arises only when you stop striving altogether, when you surrender to what is already here without trying to modify it. And even then, it may come subtly, quietly, without fanfare. It may flicker in and out. It may be so gentle you barely notice it. It feels less like an achievement and more like taking off a pair of tight shoes, like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. So what should you do in the meantime? Exactly what is in front of you. Brush your teeth, eat your meals, move through your day as it asks you to move, but drop the expectation that these ordinary actions should make you feel happy. They are enough as they are. Let them be enough. Observe your experience without trying to change it. Be curious the way you might watch clouds drift across a sky. Let the flatness be flat. Let the quiet be quiet. Let the lack of joy be what it is. And above all, stop comparing. Comparison is the thief of this entire process. Comparing yourself to your past self, to others, to imagined futures, this is what blocks the new way of being from emerging. Let this moment stand on its own. Perhaps the reason nothing brings you joy anymore is that you have outgrown the joy you once knew. You have outgrown the shallow pleasures because something deeper is calling you, not because you are superior, but because you have expanded. The old containers cannot hold who you are becoming. A child delights in candy. A young person delights in romance and adventure. A striving adult delights in accomplishment. But for some, a time comes when all of these are seen through, when it becomes clear they are temporary, conditional flickers of feeling. And when that time comes, you are pushed back onto something far more fundamental. The simple fact of being alive, being aware, being here. At first, this seems like nothing, but eventually, it reveals itself as everything, the ground from which all other experiences arise. You have not lost joy. You have lost your dependency on a particular kind of joy. And in that loss, a doorway opens. Not a doorway you walk through by effort, but one that appears precisely when you stop searching. When nothing brings you joy anymore, you are not failing. You are shedding. You are dissolving the old structures of your experience. You are entering the cocoon. You are stepping into the dawn before your eyes adjust to the light. You are not broken. You are becoming. And this becoming leads not to a return of the old joy, but to a deeper joy, one that does not require chasing, one that does not burn out, one that is present even in quiet moments, even in sorrow, even in stillness. The joy of simply being, the joy that needs nothing, the joy that was here all along.